All right, without fail, on the ECA, every single year, there's a question that is about argument and evidence relationships, or evidence and argument relationships. And so this is generally what happens in nonfiction, and that's the type of reading that we did for this, is there will be an argument, a main argument that an author makes within a paragraph, and then there's evidence to support that. Or sometimes they start with the evidence and then they lead into the argument. But let's look at what this question is really asking us to do. It says the text in lines 10 through 12, and then it gives us an excerpt from the story, provides support for which of the following excerpts from the essay. So the key words of this question are provides support for. So I would look at that question and I would say, this part has a relationship. It is either evidence or argument. In this case, what it is this quote is evidence. Okay? So then whatever excerpt, one of these four things then is the argument. So essentially when you see a question like that, your best bet is to go back to that area of the reading and determine, okay, so this is the evidence. Which one of these things has the relationship of argument and evidence? So we are provided right here the evidence. The question is which one of these is the argument that it is supporting? So if you wanted to be successful in answering a question like this, go back and evaluate all four of these statements. Which one of these is an argument? But then, which one of them is the argument that this particular thing is supporting it? Sometimes you'll see questions where they do the opposite thing. Well, they will have the argument in the question, and then they'll have the evidence as one of the possible answers. But in this case, I would go back and look and see which one of these is an argument. And usually, 9 times out of 10, the argument comes first, and then the evidence is usually immediately after it. That's usually how it's done. But sometimes they'll throw you for a loop. They'll put the evidence first, and it leads into the argument. But 90% of the time, the argument's before whatever evidence. What I would do is I would look and say, okay, look at the evidence first, and then go in front of it and see which one of those actually is in front of it. That's the tough question on the ECA, but it is not an uncommon thing to see argument and evidence relationships. Later on in our video series, I'm going to show you a different question where they give you, in the question, they give you the argument in the question, and then you got to figure out which one of the four things is the evidence from the argument.